Hello everyone. Welcome to our session Geeks Inspire. I hope all are doing well. We all know that we could not spend time or talk with our seniors due to the pandemic. So here's the opportunity for all of us to get our queries clear. So it's a pleasure to have you here, Mr. Saksham Bhatt. Welcome, Saksham brother.
Hello. Yeah, thank you for that. Um, it was my pleasure to be here, and why I wanted to be here was because at some point when I was at your stage, I would have liked it if somebody else would have spoken about these things. So it feels good being here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to introduce him. He's currently in third year pursuing information science and engineering in our own college. He's very enthusiastic and loves to code and solve problems. He's also the part of TEDx Society providing technical support. He also works as an app developer in both Sark and scripting. We would also like to congratulate him as he recently got placed in Cisco. So let's start with a friendly conversation. How it feels to get placed in third year itself.
Um, Speaking about the placement, if you get placed in third year, it just feels you will feel relieved. You feel like you have a lot more time, and you feel like if you get offer and if you get offer initially at the initial stage itself, you will find that you will have a lot more time to do things that you always wanted, and you can. It is just an assurance that you have a job offer and you can pursue anything else. Also, you can prepare if you are preparing for higher studies and some other if you are trying an off campus if you are trying your luck off campus and you already have a on campus offer, so it gives you some support and moral confidence to go out there and explore. So it feels you know I feel satisfied and relieved with whatever has gone till now.
You were right, brother. Yeah, would you like to share your journey from being a first year student at SIT and what you have achieved now?
Yeah, right. So if I speak about let me turn on my camera. I would like to you know so hello everyone. uh, if I speak about
Saksham brother, sorry to interrupt. You are muted.
all right, sorry. So I was telling about
Thank you.
how I started. I was just average any first year. If you pick any, if you like just point at some any random first year guy, I was that person. I started, coding at my late second sem. I was in second sem, I guess. I started coding, and my interest initially, I was also confused like everyone else. So what I wanted to do was I wanted some projects under my belt. That's how it all started. So initially, I went out and I talked to people, and there were people who were developing websites, there were people who were developing applications, and there were people who were doing projects on machine learning and artificial intelligence, and there were people who were doing projects on cloud computing and a bunch of other things. But what I wanted to do, I just took it simple approach, and what I wanted to do was to do projects, just get some product out there. That's how it all started. But the important thing is that you have to keep learning new things and just be up to date with whatever is going on in the industry. So that will help you because you will have some confidence. It is not necessary. It is not necessary to be well versed in all those areas, but you should have some basic knowledge about what is going on. And apart from that, I was keeping my basics. I wanted to keep my basics good. So I would say that I was somewhat successful in that, to keeping my basics good and doing some projects, and it went like all that. Just do you see some problem, you make a project, and I was exploring. and app development. Yeah, had some, I had some interest. I developed some interest in app development, and I explored that field and doing projects one after another. So I got to my second year like that. I went to few hackathons, a bunch of few hackathons in college, outside college, just normal, nothing. I didn't do anything special. Okay, I was just focusing on when focusing on academics, and with that you can do some. I was doing some coding practices online, and development projects were going on. There were hobby projects going on the parallelly. So it's a simple approach. Everyone takes this approach, and this is well tested approach. So I took this approach, doing projects, learning, and keeping basics straight. So finally, I had an opportunity. So I grabbed it, and I'm happy that it all went, the way I wanted it to be. So that's how I came to be where I am right now. I'm just doing simple things and doing those things right. That's it.
Uh, we would be happy if we are comfortable with sharing your works. If you switch on the camera,
I had switched on the camera, right? Oh, okay. Okay, I will
now
do it. It's
that's
not. Okay, got you.
it's not visible.
Uh,
Thank you so much.
Well, that was an inspiring journey, brother. We all have this big question that how much one has to spend time on academics and how much on coding. How can we handle both at once? Like we all know that SIT has a hectic schedule. So I would like to know what's your approach to handle both interview preparation as well as exam preparation.
Now, it all depends on your priorities. You have to sort your priorities out. You have to, you have to decide what you want to do. There are different approaches you can take. Now, there are some people who just work on their academics. They keep their academics straight. There are people who try to take another approach. But what I find is the most useful approach is that uh, not everything, it's a personal view. Some other person might have a different view, some other person might view it differently. But how I see it is that not everything that you get to learn from college, not everything that's there in your course is useful. So not every subject is useful. Literally speaking, not every subject is useful. So what you have to do, you have to pass those subjects, you have to score good, you have to maintain a good healthy CGPA. So what you can do is, uh, for example, there are some first sem subjects, second sem subjects. There are mathematics, physics, chemistry, all those subjects. Those subjects won't help you if you stay, from like I was from ISC. So CSC, ISC person, if you don't want to switch your streams, like you want to go to any other stream, in that case, the story may be different. But if you are in IT field and you are learning those subjects, like those are like useless. So in first year you have most time. Like if you think that you will start doing stuff from in future years, don't do that. In first year you have almost a lot of time. You can prepare from that stage only. So the approach what you have to take to maintain the balance is that there are a few core subjects. I will list a few, like there is operating systems, there is DBMS, database management systems, there is computer organization, uh, and then after that you will get networking in your I think fifth semester. So networking, and it will be in two parts: data communication and computer networks. Whole it is networking. So these are a few subjects which you have to have command. Then apart from them, other subjects are also there, but they are there from the they are important from the examination point of view. And other subjects are there to improve your interpersonal skills. There is English subject, then there are other management subjects. So you can just get those topics, learn from them, and just see them from the examination point of view. So how you maintain the balance is, you have every day, don't skip a day. Every day try to learn something new. It can be just a 5-minute YouTube video. It can be just one simple trick or one simple algorithm, one simple thing, any coding technique or anything you want to learn, just do it every day. If even if you are giving 5 minutes someday, but you have to keep it constant. Every day you have to learn something new. Make it a target that you want to learn something new, or if you want to not learning new, it is not. It's not. It's a very big term, learning new. What I mean is you have to practice every day, solving a simple one HackerRank question every day. You can start doing that. It won't hurt you, and it will only thing it will do is it will help you, because that experience counts. If you are having experience in solving problems online, and coding, it always helps. It will have always a positive impact on your career. So maintaining the balance is, there are subjects which you need to only focus during your examination. Then there are few subjects only, which you have to practice all the time. Not practice, learn. Like when you are studying them in your semester, pay attention and just grasp the concepts. And coding, that goes side by side every day. Try to do it every day. I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, thanks for your wonderful suggestions. Moving forward, most of us here are newbies who are just started exploring new things. We don't have much idea about interviews and all, but we are very curious to know. So, would you like to know? Would you like to give us how was your interview experience?
I will interview experience. What should I say? Um, See, I would tell this thing, like I was also, like I had not given any interviews before the Cisco thing. I had some experience from some of, like there were some opportunities, there were some internship opportunities before Cisco. So I had some experience, but not a major experience. Those were only one-off interviews. Those kind of interviews, they have technical, HR, and managerial rounds in the same interview. Those kind of interviews, but no experience at all. So, what you want to keep in mind while you are preparing for an interview, or while you are there giving an interview, is that you want to take control. You want to take control of the interview, and it is possible. It is very much possible. I would say I was not able to you know fully implement this thing to control the interview, but there are people who have done that, and there are people who do that, and it helps them. And it helped me some way, because I want try to control the interview how it goes. And you can do this by, there are some techniques. Interview is the thing which you should be least worried about, because it's all comes down to your interpersonal skills, how you show your confidence. So the first thing is, before you think of interviews, getting your basics right, because that is what gives you the confidence to sit there and take on the challenge. If you don't have the confidence, then sitting in the interview, it won't be of much help if you don't have the confidence, and your basics are not right. Because before the HR or managerial round, you will have a technical round. In technical round, the only thing that gives you the confidence is the understanding of the basics. And most of the time, most of the questions are basics, from the basics of different subjects, like I mentioned, OS, TBMS, networking, and algorithm and DS. Always remember, it goes without saying. Everyone's it goes without saying that data structure and algorithm, they are bread and butter of a software developer and IT professional. But it is a real thing. Like it matters the most. If you have a good command on DSL Go, it will have a good impression. You will have a good impression on your recruiter. Apart from that, always keep your basics right, basics strong in all those subjects that I mentioned. So other than that, interview is just having a conversation. Like I am talking to you right now. In the same way, there will be interviewer, and if it is I don't know about any other, but most of the interviews that I have been part of, the interviewer always you know try to make me more comfortable. They always want to do that. They will always seem friendly. Okay, interviewers are always friendly. They will make you comfortable. They will get into your zone, and they will talk to you. And what you have to do is talk back, and talk relevantly. So for that, you must get your basics right. Regarding This is regarding technical interview. If now there are other types of interview, if you have managerial round, so they will test how you how you proceed in any given situation. So if you have managerial round, they will you have to do some practice. You have to practice. There are some basic questions. There are some fixed questions they will ask you. So you have to keep track of those questions. You have to keep your mind straight. And there is an HR round. In HR round, he will ask you about choices. The type of the most of the questions will be like choices. What would you do, and how do you see this? Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your project. Why did you do this project? Why not any other project? What is the use of this project? Now these questions may shift from some person might ask you the same question in a managerial round or technical round. That depends, but mostly what these rounds are about. That's what I'm telling you. So interview preparations are at two levels. Number one, get your basics right. Get your basics strong. That is the only way that will give you the confidence. Number second is getting your, honing your interpersonal skills, your communication skills. Because if you are bad at communication skill, if you are not good at technical level, there is a chance that you might get through it. There is a chance that you might not be asked the question that you don't know. You might be asked an easy question. But if you don't have good communication skills, that will be evident from the first second. The second you enter your interview, if you don't have good communication skills, if you don't have good interpersonal skills, it will be evident from the first second of your interview. So that happens. And if you see the trend, if you see the eliminations that happen at the technical level, if they are eliminating say 10% of the crowd, if they are eliminating 10% of the crowd at the technical level, you will see at the managerial and HR level they will eliminate more than 70%, 75%. That's the trend what I saw at Cisco. So this happens. So getting your basics right, and having good knowledge of data structures and algorithm. You don't need to do anything special. Just keep your basics right. That's what gets you through the interview, and good communication skills.
Well, it was great to know about that. Thanks for suggesting the importance of DSA and interpersonal skills. Okay, guys, let's move over to the most awaited part, FAQ session. I would like Akshay to take over from here.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Akshat from Artificial Intelligence branch. Good evening, Bhaiya. There are from frequently asked questions from the students who are newbies, actually first year students, basically. Most of them are first years. Here we go with the first question from that. Where did you learn your fundamentals of coding?
Yeah, about that. If you want to learn coding, is the only way to do it is by practicing. So you can practice anywhere, but I won't suggest practicing, locally at your machine. So if you are practicing using any IDE, most of you must be using Visual Studios or Code Blocks or any other IDE if you are using. I won't suggest doing that. Don't do that. If you want to code, if you want to, improve your coding skills, go to some online coding platform. There are many free coding platforms. The one I used was GFG, Geek for Geeks, HackerRank. There is LeetCode. There is CodeChef. Every platform is good. If you want to start, most of the people start with HackerRank and GFGs. I also started with GFG. So coding basics is, first of all, you have to understand the programming concepts, the basic programming concepts, how the memory allocation works, how what variables are, and how do you manipulate them, and what are different how the computer sees a program. Those kind of things should be clear, and those comes from your theoretical concepts. But solving problems and writing efficient codes, that will only come if you start practicing on these platforms, because they have designed the problems that way, and after the problems they have some test cases. They will test it for all the possible inputs, and if there is some bug, if there is some error, that case won't pass. So you have to pass that case to successfully submit that answer. So that will give you, so the research you will do a lot of research to solve that problem. Sometimes it might take 1 or 2 hours or 3 hours or even days altogether to solve a single problem. But the research that you will do during that period to solve that problem will help you to learn new concepts and new approaches, and it will be beneficial. So you want to code, don't code. If you want to do some projects, you are developing something, for that you can use any local, by local I mean on your computer machine you can use any ID, but go for online platforms for if you want to practice coding and write good codes. So any other question?
That was great. And you also answered the second question also. What was the preferred platform? It has answered. And the third question by students is that how much time would you dedicate yourself for side hustle other than academics?
See, if I understand what your question is, I think you want to ask like how do you get time for yourself? Is that what you want to ask?
Yeah, that's
So, that is not possible. Like what I experienced getting, if you want to prepare hard, you know, some you might not get time for yourself. If you want to if you want to vacate some time for yourself, if you have something you want to do, there is some other thing that you do apart from your co-curricular, apart from your academics and career preparations. Like some people here might be interested in music, they be learning some new things. Some people love to make videos, some people are bloggers, some people do other things. Those practices are there and those practices are good for you because those practices will help you to uh, experience something which not every person is doing. For example, if you are a blogger, if you are a YouTuber, so if you are blogging, you will have a upper hand at describing things, because you will be doing enough research, or if you will be working and you will be knowing how to present something in few words. There are perks from every course curricular activity that you do. So if you want to manage this thing, it will only come if you follow a schedule. If you follow a schedule, everyday schedule, and it can be one thing. Like what I did was, I was not very disciplined. I was personally not very disciplined at following the schedules. But what helped me is uh, that I was giving time to coding, and I was giving time to what I loved. I didn't do any other co-curricular activities. So when I had some free time, I used to about uh, read about the projects that other people have done. So, or I would used to think about the features, and I used to write it down. I had a short note. There is an application you can put your whatever like it's like a small diary. So I used to maintain a diary. If I had any thought, I used to put it down so that at the later stage I can review it. So if you want your personal time among the, if you are maintaining academics and preparing for your career, if you want your own time in which you can do your co-curricular activities, only thing which will help you is following a schedule, and which is a very difficult job. Following a schedule is very difficult. So I would say just keep this rule that you every day that you have to solve some problem. Every day, start working on some problem, and if you're not able to solve the problem in one day, make sure that you keep working on that problem until you are able to solve it. And if in doing that you get some free time, just do whatever you want to do. That's how will you get through this is how most of the people get through this. See, I can
that's
see someone has written, Bhaiya, can you tell that what was your approach in your coding journey? I mean, what did you learn in your first year and then second year and then third year? Uh, and that question is tough to answer, but uh, what I remember and how I see it is, I didn't. I was not good at coding initially. I started in my first semester. I wanted to start in my first semester, but there were some other factors which contributed towards me not doing that. But at the later stage, I started coding, and I started at from HackerRank. So in HackerRank, you will have, if I am right, I started from C++, or I think there were C problems. They will have basic problems, string manipulation. There will be problems on arrays. Then you will move on to more complex data structures like that. So that's how I started. And after that, if you do some development, if you choose some development field, you will get to learn more concepts in that particular programming language. But it will only get better if you practice. The same answer for that, you have to practice every day.
Yeah, that was really great. We knew about to manage the schedule if you have to do a side hustle. And here we go with the next question. How to choose between the competitive programming and development?
I don't think that you have to choose between these two. Uh, Development and competency, programming and development, I see them as two faces of the same coin, because uh, competitive programming is about solving problems using I won't get into the technicalities, but competitive programming helps you to write codes which are more efficient and which are which uses higher more complex concepts. They In competitive programming, it's the way you use data structures and algorithms. And if you get into the competitive programming, you will get to know that there is a whole different approach. If somebody is familiar, there is a whole different approach of solving the problems, how you proceed for a solution. So that will doing competitive programming will not harm you. It will always have a good effect on your career. So if you want to manage between development and competitive programming, see, if you want to show some projects, if you want to show some projects, you must you know the development comes the question of development, if it comes there, you can do a project on mobile app development. But if you are doing, let us take the example of a mobile app. So if you are using a mobile app, apart from how the front end works, how the UI is working, and how what the code is there in back end, so you are solving some problem there. You will have some problem with data handling there. You will have some problem with the presentation. All those problems, and how backend works, the backend programming. If you are a good programmer, and if you are a competitive programmer, you will have a better approach, and you will be able to develop better softwares. So if you want to choose between CP and uh, development, I would say there is no need to choose. You can start learning the concepts of competitive programming. Competitive programming is nothing, it's just a different approach. There is you use some data structures and some algorithms which you don't use normally, and there is a different approach of competitive programming. So if you learn those things, you can apply those concepts in development. And learning development can be challenging, it can also be challenging, so you have to manage. So what I would suggest is that start coding, like you are in first year, start coding and start development in the first year itself. You can choose either web development or app development, because get into the competitive programming, you must have a strong knowledge of how programming works, and you must have command in some programming language if you want to get to a higher level in competitive programming. So for the beginners, what I would suggest is that go with coding. Do coding as much coding as you can do, and then there are different development fields. You can either go with the web development, or you can go with the app development, or if you want to do projects on AI ML, you can go in that field, or cloud computing. But the thing is, in the end, when you are sitting there with your resume before an interviewer, what he will see is that what you have accomplished and what skills do you possess. So he will look at the skills, and the next thing he will know, and the next thing he will see is your projects. He will eventually get to see your projects. He will see that whatever skills you have gathered, have you used those skills to do something good, or you are learning some skills fruitlessly. That should not happen. So if you are learning something, for example, if you are good with DS and algo, data structure and algo, do a project. Okay, use that concept in that project so that you can showcase those skills. You can anybody can write C++, Python, Java, these things in their skills section, but can you reflect those skills in your project section? That's the question, and that's where you will get an edge. If you have written DBMS, if you have written C++ and Java, and you are doing a project using those languages, and if there any skill you have learned, and if you are using that skill in development also, because in the end, in the IT industry, whatever you do, in the end it is for some person to use. If you are writing a piece of code to solve some problem, eventually that will be used in some software. That software would be used with by people. So I hope that answers your question. If you have any other question, please you can ask.
There is a question in the chat box, I think.
Okay, I will see to it. So what would you say to those who don't know which particular field they want to proceed in or are unable to make up their mind? Um, Now the problem what I see is, like, you are confused that which field is better, whether you should go with. I think the question is regarding the development, right? Particular field they want to proceed or unable to make their mind. I hope the question is regarding the, what type of, in what field you should go. So I will tell you, start with anything. It doesn't matter, because in end, if you are joining any corporate, if you are joining any company, they will recruit you and they will train you, because what they want from you is that you should have a basic knowledge, of all the programming concepts, all the computer science concepts, and that is also role specific. Whatever role they are offering you, regarding that they will ask you questions. So if you are asking me, if you are confused about what field you should choose, so I will say just go with, if you are that much confused and you are not interested in anyone, just go with anything. Okay, you can just start with the web development. There are concepts that you learn in web development that will help you, or you can go with the mobile application development. Both the fields have different challenges, and there are different things that you can learn from everything. So if you are confused, just flip a coin and decide what you want to do. Everything will pay off. And it is not like there are people who do web development also, and they are also good in mobile development. They have projects in all the fields. So you can, as you gather the confidence in one field, you can move on to other field. Parallelly do, multitasking. You can learn different concepts. But that comes with time, and that comes with practice, and that comes, that depends on the person to person. It varies from person to person. I see another question was asked. It was, okay, insecurity or development or pen tester. So these are different fields. If you want to go with security, I hope you're talking about cyber security. There is development, there is tester, networking. There are different fields, like I told you. But what you want to do is you want to choose everything you do or every field you choose will have a different future. Like, you can make career in all these fields. If you want to go with the cyber security, okay, there are, I don't know what corporates or what companies come to SIT for that job role, but you can see to it. If you are targeting some specific company, but I wouldn't recommend targeting that. You should target a role. If you are targeting a role, that will be a better approach rather than targeting a particular company. So you should target a role. If you want a software developer role, prepare for that role. There are concepts, programming concepts. There are subjects from which the basic concepts are asked. You can prepare that way. But regarding this cyber security testing or In networking, you can in networking, if you want to do projects, you must networking or cyber security, you must do some, and I found these areas a bit more difficult than any other web development or app development. This is because if you are doing app development or web development, you will have a good community support, which I found. Say cyber security, networking, and testing. It also has a good community support, but app development and web development has reached that status that far in the industry that it has a great community support, and it will help you. You will get help sooner than if you are going in any other department. So, Bhaiya, your suggestion for non-technical background in learning coding is from Shravani, I see. If you are from a non-technical background, first of all, if you are in engineering, you are from technical background. So, if you mean to ask, if you are from if you are not from circuit branch, if you are from, say, chemical or IEM, if you are from those branches, and if you want to, if you have interest in coding, you should go for it. If you have free time, if you are interested, uh, there is an option for branch change in your first year itself. So if you are successful at that, go for it. But if not, don't worry about it. Start doing coding. And for the non CSIS branches and non-circuit branches, I would suggest go with Python. Okay, start with Python. It is easy to learn, and you will have your own schedule, own academic schedule, and you will have your own subjects that you have to master. So I would suggest go with Python. It is easier to get around with. Start coding, and learning coding and doing coding will always benefit you. It will always benefit you at any stage.
Yeah, that was really great, Bhaiya. And we are going to the next question. Up to what extent that CGPA matters?
That depends. So if you are concerned about your CGPA, um, an advice that anyone can give you, and this is the thing that anyone will say, is that maintain a healthy CGPA. So maintaining a healthy CGPA is of concern because there are corporates, there are companies that will visit you on campus and they will have some minimum cutoff, and that cutoff will be based on different factors like number of backlogs, uh, education gap, and one of the factors can be your minimum CGPA. They can say that only people who are having cumulative CGPA over 8.5 or 7.5 or 7 can attend the recruitment process. So there's that. So you have to take care of that also. Just make sure that it is above 8, because most of the if it is above 8, you will be able to sit in most of the companies. So it should not be of concern, but try to keep it in the range of 8 to 9. Above 8 is excellent. Sorry, about 8.5. If you are above 8.5, it is an excellent score, and it is almost a ideal score. So if you are above 9, that will reflect an academic excellence. That will reflect that person is hardworking. But apart from that, if you are not good with your basics, if your basics are not good, the CGPA is not going to help you. The only place the CGPA is going to help you, and only place that it has helped me, is clearing the cutoff for the interview process, so for the recruitment process, because you have to be eligible for that company. So you must have minimum, and most of the companies, if you are having above 8, you will be eligible for most of the companies. So that's where the CGPA comes to play. And then there are other opportunities. We should not neglect other opportunities. There are uh, there are programs, there are university programs from SIT. If you have a aggregate CGPA around 8 point, there is some, I don't remember the figures, but if you have CGPA more than that, you will have an opportunity to go outside India. SIT has links with different universities outside India. They will send you there, and you can pursue your engineering there. You can computer engineering there, and you will get the opportunity to be placed. You will get the placement opportunities in that country. I remember what I know is that SIT has patch up with few universities or colleges in Germany, and there might be other colleges also. So they send you there, and you can complete. You will gain experience. And there was I think I know someone, some person from our senior, that that person had an opportunity to go outside the, use this scheme, and I think go to Germany, and she interned there with some corporate, and gathered some experience, and she came back, completed her degree, and she had many other opportunities to go with. So CGPA also plays a role. If you are going for the higher studies, then the CGPA will matter. If because in many colleges the selection, like uh, there is a there are different exams, like GATE exam is there if you want to go for the IITs, if you are planning for higher studies. But if it is any other college, and there are different programs, in some different programs the CGPA will matter. So maintaining a healthy CGPA is a good advice that anyone can give you.
That was really great. We get to know about the pros and cons of the CGPA, maintaining CGPA. And here we go with the next question. Which skill will be beneficial to add in our resume?
uh, that any skill would be beneficial, but make sure that there will be multiple skills that you will be entering in a resume. You cannot go with only one skill. So it is understood that you will go with multiple skills. So there are some common skills that everyone from the college will have. Everybody will will write C. I am good with C. I am good with C++, or coding. Some people will write dynamic programming, competitive programming. Um, they can write those things, but you have to make sure, if you want to stand out, like there are, first of all, there come some basic skills and common skills that everyone should have, and like everyone will be putting those in their resume. So now if you want to stand out, and if you want to look different, you can just you know you can go and explore some area and add that skill in your resume. For example, if you, like somebody mentioned, cyber security. So if you are good, if you are doing projects in that, if your concepts are clear, and if the company which is coming to for the recruitment is providing a role, is offering a role where the concepts will be used. So there, if you add the skill, you will have an upper edge. But in the end, it will always come to how you control your interview, how you what are the things you talk about. So in the end, it will come to that. But if you want to stand out, and if there is a selection process based on the resume, if they are sorting the if they are sorting the candidates on the basis of resume, sometimes what happens, they will just have a coding round, and if you clear that round, they will call you for an interview. But there are different approaches the corporates may take, and one of that approach is they will ask you to submit your resume. First of all, they will ask you to register and submit your resume, but at that point they will start sorting. So they will only call a few people based on the resume to take the exam. So at that point, if you have those skills which stand out, those can be any skills, but it should be related to the computer science, or whatever job role you are applying for, whatever job role they are providing. If it is related to that and it is different from others, it will stand out. So just make sure, and don't worry if you don't know what skill you should have. You will get to know it with time. For now, at this stage, you should only concentrate on your basics. At this stage, you need not to prepare for interviews. Just live your life freely. Live your life freely. Pay attention towards the details. Just do the coding part. Saying that if you have to do it every day, it means that you have to give a thought about coding every day. You have to solve some problem. If there is a problem which is not being solved, which is difficult, you can take some time, and it might take days. So in the end, the question is, add something in your resume. Any skill you can add in your resume, but that should be relevant with the job role you are providing. In only that case, it will stand out. Otherwise, if I am applying for some role, let us say I am applying for a software developer role, and I am writing for a software developer role, all the skills are necessary. So let us say I am applying for front end developer, and I am not writing any skills regarding that. I am writing, let us say, C programming in my skills, and I'm applying for a role of front-end developer or full-stack developer, and I'm writing C as the skill, and there is no Java, Dart, Flutter, or Android Studio. I'm not writing all those. In that case, it will be a negative point. So there's the answer. So any skill should be beneficial only and only if it is not a common skill, and if you are writing it and it is concerned with the job role you are applying for.
The skills should be unique, and it should be concerned.
No. Need not to be unique. Need not to be unique, but it should be uncommon. If you want
Oh,
it to stand out, because there will be few skills that everyone would write. But if you want your resume to stand out, in that case, you can write some skill which are related to that job role. So it is easy. Don't need not to worry right now. You will get to know that at the later stage. Right now, just
yeah,
concentrate on the basics.
that's really great. And the next question we go with, what is your opinion on the upcoming trends like machine learning, AI, blockchain tech, cloud computing, and cybersecurity? And if we have to start these things, and when we have to do so.
I think the answer for this question is also the same thing which I told you. Like, if you want to do a project in AI or blockchain or cloud computing, cybersecurity, I see all these mentioned. If you want to do projects in these areas, just go for it. Just do the project, but make sure that while you are doing the development, while you are doing these projects, you should not let your coding skills suffer. You should not, suspend the coding, because not necessarily the skills that you obtain while you are doing, ML AI projects, blockchain projects, you won't necessarily learn the useful concepts. You will learn some concepts, but that concepts won't be useful for you at the interview level. You will learn many different concepts that are used at the industry level, but the person who is there, who is interviewing you and who is viewing your profile, is not interested in something which is of no use at that point. What I mean to say is, if you are learning something which will be used at industry level and you are already well versed in it, it's okay. It will have a good impact on the interviewer. You will have a good image. You will, if you are already familiar with the technology that you will be using in the industry, it's good. It's good. But at the same time, if you are not well versed with what you have been studying in the college, the basics of programming, coding, and DS algo, data structure and algorithm, operating systems, DBMS, database management systems, these concepts, if you are not clear with them, uh, that will straight away downgrade your reputation. It will remove the weight from your resume. So make sure, if you are going in these fields, because these fields are what are used. These are the fields which are used in industry. So it will give you an edge, but at the same time, make sure that your concepts and basics of programming and the core subjects of IT and CS should be good also.
Consistency in DSA and basics matters.
Consistency matters. No, I won't say consistency. I would say the understanding, how you understand, how you feel the data structure. How when you see a data structure, you should when you look around, um, how a good programming mind works is that when you look around your if you look around in your environment, you will see many things. You will see a random when you will see a pile of cloth. You will see a lot of rubble here and there. You will see a house. You will see something. So you should, if you are able to use some programming analogy to view that situation. If you are using some concepts of programming, if you see a stack, and if you are looking at it and you are approaching it programmatically, that's how you should aim at thinking. If you are aiming if you want to think programmatically, there are people. I try to do that. I tried this approach, but there are people who do this. I know people who approach anything using the programming concepts. So this is because they have indulged in the programming practices, and they are doing it so rapidly, and so they are doing it every day, so that it has become the part of their life. Their lifestyle has changed, and they have modeled their lifestyle around it. So that's some people work that way, but the approach depends on the person and the kind of person you are. But try to think programmatically.
Yeah, that's really great. And the the next question here we have is what is to be learned in first and second and third year of course our college.
See, I will leave the college curriculum apart, because whatever is there in the syllabus is there. So you should not you should not be concerned about that, because it is there and they will teach you. They will give you the notes. You will know what to write. You will know when to write. That's fixed. But if you want to know what you can learn in the first, second, and third years, it totally depends on the person. It totally depends on the person how you want to proceed, and how you what you want to learn. If you are in the first year itself, there are people who start in the first year. They start doing some development. They start coding from the first semester itself. Then there are people who start from the second year. Then there are people who don't start at all. There are some people who are only interested in higher studies, who join the engineering course, BTech course or BE course, because they wanted to go for the higher study. So they won't pay attention at coding and stuff, but they will pay attention at the core subjects, the basics. So it all depends on the person. For the first, second year, if you want to learn something apart from your academics, just pick something, pick anything if you want to learn, but that should be useful. You can go with artificial intelligence and machine learning, but those are advanced concepts. Before you move on to artificial intelligence and machine learning, make sure that you are good with mathematics and your programming concepts. If you are good with Python. Most of the AI projects are done in the Python. It is preferred language. So you have to make sure that you are good at it. And if you are practicing coding, also make sure that you are doing it in some language which is widely used and widely preferred, and try to just uh, masters a language. There should be one language in your arsenal that no one can beat you in that language. You should approach it that way. Not literally speaking. You should not. The task is not to become grandmaster. The task is to make sure that you are learning in such a way that you are clearing all the concepts, and you are gaining command over that language. That can be C++, Java, Python. These are the common languages. Pick one language and have take control of that language. You should have command in that language. That's how I will tell you. Learn something. Learning something has never hurt anyone, so you should learn. And there is no specific bound. Go with anything. If you are confused, talk to your seniors. If you are confused, you should go with that field. If you know some senior who is in web development, who is doing AI projects, or so there is someone who is there in mobile application development, just talk to them and ask them about the opportunities. Ask them about what they have learned. Get to know the experience, and then you decide what is better suited to you, like that way. But you should start from the day one. If you want to learn something, best approach is start from the day one. I hope that answers that question.
Yes, I hope you answered every question which was decided. We have just one more question. Daman wants to ask that from which year we start to prepare for GATE exam?
Um, See, the ideal approach. I will tell you the ideal approach if you want to prepare for the GATE or any other exam for higher studies. The best and the ideal approach is to just study at the time you are, going through that subject. If you are in second semester and you have, let us say, algorithms laboratory, or if you have data structures subject, So if you have that subject, just make sure that you learn the basics at that time only. That's the ideal approach. You always have some ideal condition, then you have practical condition. So the ideal condition and the ideal approach is just at the time you are learning that subject, make sure that you do it at that time only. And afterwards, you just need to refurbish, rebrush those concepts. And cracking gate is not easy. So you have to get deeper and deeper and deeper, and just make sure that your concepts are clear. Don't move forward. Don't move forward if you have some doubt in the current topic. Don't be ashamed, don't be afraid. It doesn't matter. In the end, what people will see is what you do and what you have achieved. So I don't think that there should be any concern there. Just do one thing. If you have any doubt, if you feel that the topic is not clear with you, make it your mission that you want to first clear the concepts of that topic, then you will move forward and do it on the timely basis, not like you are stuck at some point and you are stuck at that point for 1 week. No, don't do that. Just make sure that you do it quickly and do it at some pace. You have to follow, you have to follow it, at some some fixed pace. Your at what speed you learn and what speed you apply. So just make sure that you are learning the basics correct at the correct time. And after that, there are, you can just in the eighth semester you might be free. Most of the people are free in eighth semester. So in the eighth semester you have ample of time for the gate preparations. You can take up any online course, and there are few, I think there is some I think there is some organization which prepares the students for gate exams, and it comes to SIT also. And if you are, and they offer some concessions, and if you are branch topper, they will you just admit you free of cost. They will uh, give you scholarship, 100% scholarship. Then if you are second rank, they will give you 75%. So they will come to the campus and just offer you a place in the academy so that you can prepare. And there are different courses and all. You will get to know about it if you just with just one Google search, you will get to know about it. I hope that answers the
Yes.
question.
Yeah. The next question comes from Suhas. So he wants to know the challenging part of what you've gone through in the Cisco recruitment process. What you felt challenging.
I would, like the challenge is what I would tell you is that like before I was, even sitting in the interview, the challenge was, what to recall. So if you think that you will prepare for the interview in the last 10 days or 5 days or 15 days, that might work in some cases. But the intent, if you want the confidence, and in the end, what helps you the most is what you have done all the 3 years. So whatever you have done, that only will help you. So in my case, uh, I was not good with the networking concepts, not that good. Hopefully and thankfully, I my basics in networking were clear. So once I got to know about, like, the list was out and I got to know that I have been called for the interview, so I went down and I started recalling and refurbishing all the networking concepts and operating system concepts, database management systems. I try to recall all those concepts, and this was possible only because when it was being taught in the classroom, and when I was preparing for my SEM and my internals, at that time I made sure that I am not, cramming those topics, because there are few topics that you have to cram, that you have to mug up. But there are some topics, the basics, you should never skip the basics, because they will always help you at some time. So the main challenge for me was to, those 3 days was to prepare and to refurbish and to just, revise only those topics which will be useful. So I didn't know what they will ask me. So in the end, my technical interview started. So there are few techniques you can use. There are few ways you start your interview. If they ask you about yourself, you talk about yourself briefly in technical interview, and after that, you can emphasize on some topics. You like what I did was, uh, yeah, what I did was what I did was that I mentioned it explicitly that uh, my core interest revolves around networking and operating systems. I said that. I said that because I was confident that my networking was, my networking concepts were clear, and I knew my operating system was also clear. So I wanted to sell those things. I wanted them to ask me the questions from these two topics because I had the most command on these topics. Then there was data structures and algorithm, and there was coding part. My resume was I had mentioned different projects and every regarding the programming part and coding part. There was enough information about that in the resume. I had mentioned different things, different hackathons and everything in my resume. So that way they will know about that I am good at programming. I wanted them to know that I am good at programming because if you want to get selected, you want to present your candidature as the best. That's what I did. In the resume, I showed that I was good at programming and all. I was doing projects, but when I wanted to talk to them, I explicitly emphasized upon networking and operating systems. So in my interview, they started with the networking concepts. They went in the depth, very very core basics that even I would have missed. Uh, there were questions from the very basic. There were like very basic details, tiny details. There was there. They were asking me those questions, and I was happy. And when I got to know that I have prepared it and I was confident. So the main challenge for me was to prepare the right thing. Uh, anything else, whatever you think will help you, will come from what you have done in the past 3 years. Whatever you do from the day one to the day you sit in the interview will amount to whatever the result is. So whatever result you get will be the cumulative will be the I would say will be the cumulative result of what you have been doing in the past 3 years. There are cases, there are chances, there are people who say that I was able to crack the interview with only 1 month of preparation. That is also possible, but that is something that won't give you confidence. If you want the confidence in your interview, if you want to be confident there and sitting there with the with command, if you want to control the whole interview, you should have the confidence, and the confidence will only come if you know that you have dedicated enough time towards your preparations. It is possible to crack it. People have done that, and I know I have friends who have done that, who have prepared for some time and they were able to crack it. But that's the luck factor. There is a lot of luck involved there. You don't want to bet your career on the luck. You should not bet your career on the luck. So don't do that.
Yes, I think it was well explained. But Suhas also want to extend his question by asking that um, what makes you to stand out? I guess Suhas, can you please check out Saksham Bhatt's LinkedIn profile? That the resume or the profile would be self-explanatory, I think. Uh, or else, if is there anything to add, Saksham Bhaiya?
I hope I answered all the questions. If anyone has some questions, like I would like to answer because when I was at your stage, I was in my first year and second year. I would have liked it if somebody else was there who could have told me something. That's the only reason I am here today. So rest of you, those who didn't
And
get to the Cisco recruitment. So I would answer that.
and yes, the pandemic also made it worse. Like pandemic just don't give a chance also to me.
I didn't understand you. Like what chance you are asking, talking about?
Like when was at your time, yeah, you were having some chance to speak out with the seniors, but we had no chance. We don't know the faces of our seniors. That's what happened.
If you are I hope you are in some. You must be in some group, and if you are not in the group even, you can just reach out to your seniors through LinkedIn. There are a lot of people on LinkedIn who will be happy to help you. If you just if you make a connection, then you make another connection. Just check out what those people are doing. Now this approach I used myself. If I had some doubt, I used to approach my immediate seniors, and I was fortunate enough to have good seniors. There were people, those people used to always be, they were always there if I had any doubts. But apart from that, if you want to know what is going on there in other colleges, in other industry, in the outside in the industry, what's happening, so you can just, if you are, let us say you are aiming for a software development role, you can just go out and look in the LinkedIn and just see, different people there, and you can ping them, you can ask them questions, and they will, most of them are happy to answer. That's what I have discovered. So go out there, explore, and talk to the people. That's the only way you can learn something. And there are people who have their own blogs. There are people on the YouTube who are making videos about, interviews and how to prepare. There's a lot of stuff there. A simple Google search will get you enough information. But the thing is, you have to get yourself out there.
Yes, it was great. It was great time spending with you, Sakshambar. I think you reached every corner and answered all of our queries. We are so thankful having here. I hope everyone who is present here would have got some value into their life. Um, yes, I would like to thank everyone who participated in this session. Hope it you got to know something new. And I would also like to thank the Saksham Bhaiya for giving his precious time and making this event
Yeah, I would like to say,
as a great event.
but I just want to add one
Yeah,
thing here.
go on, Saksham Bhaiya.
What you people are doing is a good thing. So I would suggest you, like, I hope you people are already thought about that. Just go out and approach all the people. Like there are other people who are,
Y-
who have been placed. There will be other people who will be placed. You can just keep this session every Saturday or Sunday if you want. You call those people. There are
Yes,
different others. Call everyone. Every day. If somebody agrees, just call them and have these sessions. It will help you people. That's what I would have done if I would have been at your place. I would have called every senior and not, might not be possible to do it every Sunday, but you should do it, like, for every company, for every corporate that comes to SIT and they recruit some people. You should approach some people, not only one person. You should go out and talk to different people who got placed in the same company and have these sessions. So that way you can get to know
no,
your
yeah,
senior.
that's what I was about to say. That's
So
what I was
good.
about to say. I would like to thank all co-members of Geeks for Geeks SIT student chapter. If you're not aware of student chapter of Geeks for Geeks that we have in SIT, so we usually conduct event like this. Every month we will be having Geeks Inspire session where someone who is experienced in some particular field, we are going to call out to the session and we will have some discussion. We will have AMA, like ask me anything, so you can get your doubts or queries cleared. That's what we do, and we also conduct coding contests just like any other coding society which we have uh, in SIT. Yeah, we will try our best to for our personal development and also to contribute to the community. It was great time having with you guys. I hope we can end this session here. Before ending, I would like to share you the feedback form. Yes, I think hope everyone can see in the chat box that I shared a Google Form link. It doesn't need any data of your USN or email. Just share your views on this. Okay. Yes, that's it, guys. It was great time. Thanks for joining us.